The Feast of St. Joseph, it's a beautiful feast day for us, particularly because it pushes against cultural trends that have been instilled in us from the day that we were born. When you think of the earliest of ages, especially if you are one among several siblings, or times in school or on sports teams, later in adulthood with job and career, even in the spiritual life, we can feel like we are competing against one another, that we're scrambling for position or recognition, and that when we don't have that, somehow that gets associated with concepts of failure in our mind. And then there's Joseph, who's a man of silence, who's a man of faith. There's a stillness and a strength that he reveals to us in his own relationship with God. There's nothing privileged about Joseph's life. He's not the Immaculate Conception. He doesn't experience any miracles. One might say, yeah, but the angels, they appear to him. Sure, but they do that in a dream. Mary had an angel while she was awake. So did many others in biblical history. And the funny thing about dreams is that one could easily negotiate them away as, well, I was dreaming. Now, Joseph doesn't do that, praise God, because he is a man of faith. But all that to say, God denied him the exceptionality of the spiritual life. And then even when he has Jesus, he never sees Jesus heal a paralytic, never sees him cast a demon out, never sees him raise someone from the dead. In fact, when the time for his own death comes, he doesn't even ask Jesus to rescue him from it. He's one of the last people in Jesus' life who will die, never having the benefit of the empty tomb. We have that. At least when we are confronted with our own mortality, we have the good news that the tomb is empty. But Joseph never had any of those things. And in his love for Joseph, let's flip this now, Jesus never denied him those things, meaning avoiding the negative feelings that one might experience in their humanity. Despite in his own humanity, how Jesus may have wanted to reassure him with a miracle, save him from death ahead of time, the way he saved his mother from sin before he was even born. But in his own love for Joseph, he actually says, no, I want to give my father the reward of faith. Silent, steady, humble faith. And so Joseph accepted a life of ordinary circumstance. He had to work a job to get money, not have tons of it, not stand out, and then die a relatively unknown man of his time. Is that enough for you? Because what God is saying is it's enough for him. That while all of this is going on, God is not blind to this kind of fidelity of Joseph. Imagine, of all the people on Holy Saturday when Jesus is dead and descends into Sheol, what it meant for him to see Joseph again, the joy that it would have caused him to finally be able to reach out and say, Dad, it's time to come home. It's time to come home. Now receive the reward of your fidelity. and to raise Joseph to the status that he has now in the life of the church, that God denied him as he was quietly building Joseph up in life. In life. That gives me pause. And it challenges me to say, am I clinging to the right things here? Are the things that I value, what I'm willing to sacrifice for, what gets my time, what occupies my mind, what I'm reading about and I'm searching for and I'm working towards, is it for my own self-interest, or is it just enough to please God, such that even if things are not going well for me, can I delight in the space, in the vineyard of the divine will, that look, I'm doing God's will today, and he's going to build with me and do with me what he wants. And not only is that enough, as if God calls us to minimalism, but can I delight in that the way that Joseph delighted in his place in salvation history, in his story and role in the Gospels. And so today, as we gather to celebrate and commemorate Joseph, spouse of Mary, it's really worth pausing in his shadow so that we can be inspired by his example, fed by his witness, and raised with him to that same faith.